The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Today, a special short edition of the program with a guest, Thad Snider from Kansas. Now, Kansas is flyover country. I get it. Look, I live there. I live in Kansas. But nonetheless, I think that what we see in Kansas can be a bellwether for what happens across the country in many aspects. In one particular, election integrity issues, we have an active criminal investigation happening in Kansas with regards to election integrity. Criminal investigation happening right now. I'm going to let Thad Snider explain it. And we have a series of people involved in this, from our county commissioners, our county election director, even the state attorney general, who was supposed to be one of us, a conservative who ran on and spoke about election integrity and getting to the bottom of things like this. Without me muddying up the waters a bit, I'm going to bring Thad on right now. Let him explain this to us. Thad, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
So a big deal in Kansas, and I want to point out to the country and to the world that this can affect and happen in other states as well. So take heed and take warning. Surmise for us in about 4 or 5 minutes what's happening in Kansas.
So our sheriff, Calvin Hayden, has had an active criminal investigation into the 2020 election for a couple of years now. And during the course of that investigation, True the Vote outed Johnson County as one of the counties that had CONEC, the Chinese Communist Party software, running its election management system. So this is a big deal. It's a huge investigation. And during the course of the investigation, the previous Attorney General, Derek Schmidt, issued a stay of destruction of the 2020 election materials pending the outcome of this investigation. Well, the investigation is still ongoing, but last week, I found out that the Johnson County Commission voted to appoint a bipartisan duo to oversee the destruction of those materials, despite that stay of destruction. And this is being done in coordination with the Kansas Secretary of State and the county elections director, Fred Sherman. So this is a conspiracy to obstruct justice. If they destroy that material during an active criminal investigation, it looks like they're hiding something. There is no reason to destroy that material outside of the fact that they are hiding something. And our supposed constitutional conservative Attorney General, Chris Kobach, who used to be the Secretary of State during the time period in which we use CONEC, by the way, will not do anything to aid Sheriff Hayden in getting to those materials. We need those materials subpoenaed. And I have urged President Trump and his team, and I know you put in a good word for me as well with his team, to go ahead and subpoena that material because it could be exculpatory in his January 6th case.
You're right. And Chris Kobach is a name that the national audience would recognize, too. He made a bid to be part of President Trump's team, in fact. And so it's surprising that you have somebody like Chris Kobach, who is apparently and obviously lackadaisical or completely inactive in his approach to this. Now,
the absentia, sorry to interrupt, Doug, but the absentia from the investigation is bewildering to me. And I've even had a call from his chief of staff asking me to stop calling out Chris for not doing anything about election integrity, because he said he doesn't have the statutory authority over election crimes, which is a bald-faced lie. Our statute, Kansas statute 25-24-35, gives 4 people statutory authority over election crimes. That's the county election attorney, the county attorney, the district attorney of the county, the Secretary of State, and the Kansas Attorney General. And to say that he doesn't have the authority over it, and plus this is a national security issue. If the Chinese Communist Party was running our elections in our largest county, you would think that there would be more of an impetus at that level to look into it and see how far did they make it into the state.
And the county commission's assignment here of a quote unquote bipartisan team to destroy this, my hunch is, and I'm sure you would agree, that a stay of destruction for documents involved in an ongoing criminal case has no expiration date, right?
That's correct. That's correct. I even spoke to Sheriff Hayden directly about this, and I asked him, I was like, does it have an expiry? And he said no. And I think he's going to try to coordinate with Chris Kobach to see if he will do something. But to this point, I've heard nothing. I've seen nothing. And, his behavior to this point has been completely laissez-faire when it comes to election integrity issues, which is, counterindicative of how he's presented himself in the past. This was a guy who was going on Bannon's War Room and pretending to be all based and stuff. And now here we are with a true issue that we could really use his help here in Kansas, and he's just sitting on his hands.
Well, we're going to call him out. Chris Cobal is welcome to come on the show and explain himself. Chris, if you're out there, if your team is watching, you're always welcome to come on. This is an important issue. Ladies and gentlemen across the country, beware. Keep your radar up and be aware of your county commissioners, your county election directors, your state attorney general with regards to everything that has to do with election integrity, because where it can happen in Kansas, it can happen in your state as well. We're going to try to get General Flynn on this. We're going to once again contact the Trump people and see if we can get their attention and to them for them to shine a light on this. Thad, I can't thank you enough for pointing this out. It's an important issue, not just to the state of Kansas, but to our republic. To your point, if we have the Chinese in here involved in Kansas, who knows where else they might be involved. What are, in about a minute or so, some closing thoughts, Thad?
Well, like you said, this is the Chinese Communist Party was running the election management system in Johnson County for 7 years. They had, through the charging documents in LA County, we know that they had super administrative privileges to our election management system, which also had access to our inventory, such as the machines, the serial numbers, which precincts they were used. And if you give the Chinese Communist Party an open door like that, there's no telling what they did in that 7 years that they had that open door to play with.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Thad Snider from the state of Kansas, and a call out to our Attorney General, Chris Cobal. Where are you? Come and talk to us. Ladies and gentlemen, where it can happen here in Kansas, it can happen to you in your state. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.